In an attempt to argue the church councils were consistent from Hippo in the 4th century to Trent in the 16th century, Roman Catholic author Gary Michuta has argued recently the local council of Carthage of 397 did not include the book of 3rd Esdras, a 3rd century BC writing that includes 2.5 chapters not found in the later ecumenical council of Trent. However, on page 240 of the first edition of his book, Why Catholic Bibles Are Bigger, Gary wrote, quote, "The Council of Carthage may have included Esdras, meaning 3rd Esdras, on its list," end quote. Although this is not the same thing as Gary stating it definitely was included, nonetheless, it is not the same position he holds now that it definitely wasn't included. Plus, on page 160 of his book, Gary wrote, quote, "Augustine's positive viewpoint was later enshrined in the decrees of the councils of Hippo 393 and Carthage 397 in which he participated," end quote. Not only does Gary state Augustine was a member of these two late 4th century local church councils, and they shared the same canonical lists, but he is also conceding if 3rd Esdras was included in these councils, their canon lists were not identical to the later ecumenical council of Trent in the 16th century. However, in the second edition of his book, Gary removed his comment that Carthage may have included 3rd Esdras on its list. Why do you suppose Gary removed this, considering the significance of his more current argument flip-flopping on his position, since Gary has rebuked Jerome and Luther for flip-flopping on their position on the canonicity of the Deuterocanon? Click the link on the screen where I demonstrate Augustine did indeed embrace 3rd Esdras as scripture in City of God 25 years after he was a member of the late 4th century church councils of Hippo and Carthage, something he wouldn't have done unless 3rd Esdras was indeed included in these councils where Augustine was a member.